Continue in Shmuel Aleph Perek Chav Ches. We got up to through Pasuk Yud Ches. We're in the middle of Shmuel giving all the reasons of why did you bother me? Why did you have to bring me up from the dead, as it were, because of all your concerns. And he's showing him how all his concerns are not necessary, because he knew the answers to everything. And therefore in Pasuk Yud Tes he deals with the first of the concerns, that the Plishtim were going to fight with me. So in Pasuk Yud Tes he says, "V'yitain Hashem gam es Yisrael imcha b'yad Plishtim," and Hashem will give over also the Jewish people with you in the hands of the Plishtim. Umachar ata uvanecha imi, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. Gam es machan Yisrael yitain Hashem b'yad Plishtim, and also the camp of the Jewish people Hashem will give over into the hands of the Plishtim. So, why is he? First of all, it's a little bit of repetitive. It says v'yitain Hashem gam es Yisrael imcha b'yad Plishtim. It's already saying he's going to give them over. Then he adds the words gam es machan Yisrael yitain Hashem b'yad Plishtim. So it's interesting. It's kind of repetitive. I'm not sure I have an answer for that, but the Malm does explain why the Jews are going to be punished, because they also contributed to the Avera. Because the people also, when they fought Amalek before, the people had mercy on Amalek, and they were the ones pressuring Shul to not kill Agag and to spare the sheep. And more than that, they should have protested Shul's actions when he disregarded what the Navi wanted. So therefore, so this is why he's responding to all this. Why have you requested to speak to me? You know all the answers to everything. It's all obvious. Plishtim are coming to kill you. That's it. So then that was dealing with that. But then when he adds the next point, when he says Umachar, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me, he says you should know it's a decree, and that's it. Tomorrow's going to be the time, and you will be with me, and also the Jewish and your sons will be with me, and the Jewish people are going to lose their battle tomorrow against me as well. So it seems that the first half of that pasuk Yud Tes is describing that the Jewish people are going to be given over because of their avera. You know, they've done averas, and I guess the second half of the pasuk is saying, and indeed they're going to lose as well. And that last half of the pasuk is now moving on and is telling him really what Shaul wanted to know. He wanted to know what's going to be, and he says this is what's going to be. Okay, there's a lot on these last couple of psukim that needs to be discussed over here. Where to begin? So we'll start over here, continuing along with all this medrash. All the medrash discusses all this. It's all, if you want the source for this, all is Vayikra Rabbah Perek Chavav. Goes through all the psukim and discuss everything that's going on over here. So in Pasuk Yud Zayin, let's back up to Yud Zayin, where Hashem said, listen, Hashem's doing what he said he was going to do, and he's ripping the kingdom away from you and gave it to the one, to David. So very fascinating medrash here. Amar Lei. And so Shaul, it's in between the lines now, Shaul responded to Shmuel, wasn't happy with what he said. He says, V'leis halin malei kadmaisa dehava malei. This isn't the first, you're not telling it to me the way you told it to me the first time. When he first sinned and didn't destroy Amalek, he says, Kadhavis gabei havasama, when you were by me, you said to me, V'nasna l'reacha tov mimecha. You said, I'm going to give it to the person who's better than you. But you didn't mention it being David. When I lost the kingdom, you didn't say who it was going to. You said you were giving it to somebody who's better than me. Ukedain, but now, at Omer Lila David. But now, you're using the same words, but now you're saying David. In other words, you're saying, why am I so surprised? Why after you're for that? I already told you this. I already told you, you lost your kingdom, and it's going to David. He says, wait a minute, you didn't tell me it was going to David the first time. He says, it's going to somebody better. So, Amar Lei, so Shmuel gives a very enigmatic answer. Karavina gabach havina ba'olam desheker. When I was talking to you, I was talking to you in the world. We know the mystics call this world the Alma Deshikra, the false world. I was speaking to you in the false world. V'hava shemiya mimeni, and you heard from me, malin shkarim, false words. In a false world, you hear false words. Because I was afraid of you. The lo tiktolosi, you shouldn't kill me. If I would have said to you then, when you didn't destroy Amalek, that your kingdoms were given over to David, I was afraid you were going to kill me. But now that I'm in the world of truth, you'll only hear from me words that are true. Whoa, what kind of medrash is this? But Shul say, well, I was in the false world, so you didn't hear the true answer. I'm like, what kind of answer is this? And what kind of question? And first of all, the question's hard to understand. So what's the matter? I said David, didn't say David. What's the difference?
It wasn't false.
He said it's going to somebody else. But Shul's a big tine on him, big complaint. Now, if you would have told me it's going to David, I wouldn't have any complaint. And Shmuel says, well, Shmuel's talking like a politician now. He's saying, in a false world, I couldn't tell you the truth. I was afraid they're going to kill me. What is going on? So the Musa Nevi'im gives a very beautiful interpretation on both ends over here. So I'm going to read you a bit of it and get a beautiful shot over here. So what was Shaul's complaint that he didn't say specifically, that Shmuel didn't specifically say it's going to David? So he wanted to answer based on a Rambam, a famous Rambam that you're aware of. We learned in Hilchos Yesodei Torah. He says that when a prophet issues a prophecy with words of punishment, remember, if we have to know if a prophet is telling us the truth or not, what's the litmus test? How do you know he's not a liar? So if a prophet makes a statement in the future, for the future regarding something bad happening, and what if it doesn't happen? It doesn't necessarily mean he's a false prophet, because Hashem could have had mercy and people could have done tshuva. Bad prophecies don't always have to happen. I mean, if nothing changes, they will happen. But if a prophet issues a bad doom and gloom prophecy, and the gloom doesn't happen, it's not a proof that the Navi's a liar, because people could have done tshuva, and that's the purpose of prophecy. On the other hand, if the prophet prophesies something good's going to happen, that always has to happen regardless. If it's a public prophecy, it must, that's the rule. You can ask questions on the rule, but that's the rule. And therefore, if a prophet would say something positive and it doesn't happen, then you know the prophet is a liar. Okay, very good. So now look how he plays this so well. He says, now Shul, he complained like this. He figured that his kingdom was not going to be removed from him. Why? Because what did he hear? He heard a doom and gloom prophecy that my kingdom is going to be ripped from me. So facts when we ripped from me, first of all, you didn't say who's going to take it, number one. So therefore, that prophecy could have been nullified through tshuva and good deeds. If I would do tshuva and good deeds, it's not necessarily have to happen because it's purely a gloom and doom prophecy. But now that you're telling me it's been given to David, so it's not only it's a negative for me, but it's a positive for him.
Right.
And therefore, it would have to come true. So if you would have told me in the beginning that it's coming to David, then for sure I would have accepted your prophecy. Because even it's bad for me, but it's good for him. And good for him has to come true. And if you would have said that, I wouldn't have held on to the kingship. Because then, how could I argue on that? But you did, and maybe that's why purposely you said, why couldn't you have told me who it was? If you knew I was losing, and you also knew who was going to. So Shaul says, I figured you didn't tell me who was going to because you want to make it exclusively a doom and gloom prophecy. And if that's the case, then I knew all the time I had a foothold to be able to regain my kingship. So that's why you see, because otherwise the question always was, which we never really addressed properly, is if Shmuel said you're not the king, so finish, step down for goodness sake. Shmuel said it, step down. Shul, at least then was a much bigger tzaddik than he was at this point in the game. He really didn't do any bad affairs. Okay, he didn't destroy Amalek. We already discussed the whole complexities and how the Yetzer threw everything he could at him. And you have to judge him very favorably on that for sin. But then once the Navi tells you, you're finished, so throw in the towel. Go give it over to David HaMelech. And as things show that David is going to be the king. I mean, the handwriting's on the wall. So why didn't he give it over to him? Because he never was told it's going to David. Who better than you? Could be my son, your And could be I will do tshuva. And all these tests, maybe I'll do tshuva. Although unfortunately, I don't know how Shaul could ever think he did any tshuva since that prophecy. Doesn't although he did get rid of the witches.
Yeah.
Okay, until now, but he was pressured. He was pressured, and he did fight other battles. I mean, he was still the defender of the Jewish people. But so that was always that out, as it were.
Rabbi, up to this point, Saul did not know that David was going to be the king.
He was not told by the Navi it's going to David.
Yeah,
he said, "You will lose. You will lose. It'll go to somebody better than you." That's all.
Oh wait, didn't we say that other people knew that
Knew already that David was the
already
king? Officially?
No, and people. People sensed the pulse, the political. What do you call it?
Climate.
Political climate was changing, but nobody knew. They assumed, David's very successful, and he had supporters. He also had the ones who weren't supporters. No people.
For all he knew, it could have been negative. He could have been
Abigail felt, she was a Neviah. Maybe she felt that David was going to be, but it wasn't like, placard all over it. For sure not. Shaul was still the king, but there was a sense, David is his rival, might be the king, but we never really said that people knew for sure David's going to be the king.
As long as it wasn't part of the prophecy.
Of course, he knows. He was jealous of David, and he thought David wanted the kingship.
Is that why he tried to kill him? Anyway?
Right, but till Hashem says it goes to him, I haven't lost it, and maybe he thinks his tshuva is to kill David. Maybe you have to remember there's a whole stream. Again, when you're trying to defend your position, rationalization becomes an easy thing to do. Now, I never said this either, but what could be one rationalization? Now, David, he's a red, fiery-looking guy. He looks like Esav. He's a very Esuvian-like character, which is nothing wrong with that per se, because if Esav would have done things proper, they're very much, David and Esav are very much. The difference is, David had good eyes, and he did what Hashem said. But besides that, him and Esav were identical in koiches, and I mean, if Esav would have acted like David when Esav in his lifetime, history would have been different. And David really, why the Melech Mashiach comes from everything comes from because he really had the Esuvian-like qualities, and he developed them properly, and he became the great tzaddik. And he was everything Esav was meant to be, and more, in a good way, in a very good way. And that's why, even though David, we'll see, he will make mistakes. There's a verse, he does incredible tshuva on them, and we all learn tshuva from David HaMelech. So you can figure Shaul, he's looking at this David as an Esav character, especially with all that lashon hara he keeps hearing about him. Right? Remember, you got to always remember that lashon hara believe me, makes everything distorted. It doesn't take a lot; it just takes one little nuance to distort an entire reality. So and who's telling it to him? The Av Bezdin, the head of the Bezdin. Doeg's telling him. The other one, Avner's telling him. It's a great people. It's not Israeli generals who don't have any Torah. These are people who are incredible Torah knowledge people. So they're supporting him. So he thinks, it's an Esav. It's an Esav over here. He's cunning. Remember, Esav does everything nice on the outside, but he's so cunning. Esav dressed up according to Hasidic form with a white Bekisha, Mamish a Hasidic Rebbe. Mamish. So David's like a Hasidic Rebbe too. He says, he's a tzaddik, he's this and that. But he's scheming behind. That Moab blood is going to come out, and he's going to. You can't totally blame Shaul for thinking that way. He has a lot of history behind that to prove that, and he has, right?
But it makes it even more stark. If he knew or thought David was going to be specifically left out of the prophecy, then he's going to think there's a reason it was left out. It's
because he's not and David's not the king, and all this is a false kingship, and I got to put it down.
But it gives him room to do tshuva. It
gives him room, all these things. So therefore, he complained.
So wouldn't it have been better if Shmuel would have told him?
Okay, can I finish?
Yeah, okay.
Let me finish. I'm still in the middle. I want to finish.
It doesn't make sense that some of this stuff.
So therefore, Shmuel answered, I didn't tell you that David was appointed, because there was a very strong likelihood that you would have killed me, and you would have killed David. And Shmuel himself was afraid to go and anoint David, and Hashem had to give him an ulterior excuse. Don't say you're going. He's going to ask you where you're going. So just say there's a family simcha I have to go to attend. Don't say what you're doing, because Shmuel was afraid. Therefore, I didn't tell him the truth. Okay, So now, that explains the first half. At least now we understand the first half of the Medrash. We understand now what Shaul was upset about, what he was critical about. But now we got to understand the second half of the Medrash. So I understand. So Shmuel is justifying not telling the truth. So therefore, if you look carefully in the Medrash, does Shmuel said, because when I was living in the world of falseness, I said a lie?
That's right, that's another thing.
Is that what he said? Let me read again what he says. While I was in the world of Sheker, Havashmim, you heard from me words that were lies. What does that mean? So he explains it. Let me explain. Give me a minute. So he said, he didn't say I said lies. You heard lies, because Shmuel was careful. He didn't say a lie. He just said he gave it over to someone who's better than you. Now that's not a lie. That's clearly not a lie. That's absolute 100% truth. He just didn't say all the truth, and there was no need for him necessarily to say all the truth, right? He hid a little bit of the truth, and he didn't say explicitly what's going to happen, and therefore Shaul had a place to make a mistake as long as it wasn't said to who. So really, who is the one who fooled himself? Shaul fooled himself, and it wasn't Shmuel who said the lie. By the way, as I'm learning this medrash, you see how mamish the lessons are. The Alma de Shikra. All the Swarm HaKadoshim talk about the world being the Alma de Shikra. Alma de Shikra, things aren't as they appear, and everybody distorts everything. We live in an Alma de Shikra, the truth is, if he would tell Shaul HaMelech that David's going to be there, Shaul would have killed him. Because it's the Alma de Shikra.
Shaul would have killed him?
Believe me, if Shmuel tried to kill David, and David didn't do anything wrong, and Shmuel would get up and say, we got a new king instead of you. If Shmuel thought that, remember we learned many moons ago, we said, how could Shmuel have been suspected? No, how could Shmuel have suspected Shaul of wanting to kill him? So we learned once before, you recall, once you start doing one Avera, it's a slippery slope to the next Avera. Once he didn't destroy Amalek, he already said, it's the second time he second-guessed the Navi. What's your...
He killed the Kohanim.
And then he killed Nov. It turned out he killed out Nov. So why wouldn't he... And that's 86, I think it was 86, right? 86 Kohanim. So one Shmuel, an old Shmuel for that. Remember, he already wasn't able to do the circuit. He was an older guy already. He's older. It's mamish. You see what's going on in the Alma de Shikra.
52.
So, in the Alma Shlomo Melech also died at 52. Right. So the Alma de Shikra is a world where we only look. What's Pshat Alma Shikra? We just look at what's on the surface. The surface is so compelling. What you see is so compelling because we are human beings and we are, stimulated by what we see. We're influenced by what we see. We're human beings. The Alma de Shikra is everything you see. In other words, for sure, the Yesod is, as opposed to the secular world says what you see is what you get. In Jewish world, what you see is mamish, not what is. In Yiddishkeit, you believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear. Right? And only half of what you see. Right? Because the Alma Shikra fools you. So Shmuel was saying this. Listen, Shmuel wasn't in the Alma de Shikra. He's a Navi. He was always in the world of truth. But when he's living in the Alma de Shikra, here's the point. You have to know you're talking to people who live in the Alma de Shikra. In other words, if you're a tzaddik, a rebbe, he's always in the Alma Demis. He's in the true world, even in this world. The others, tzaddikim, even in this world, they're in the real world because they're up there. They're just playing games over here. They know that this is a game place, but they know they're talking to people who really believe that the Alma de Shikra is the real world. So you have to be careful how you speak to them. Be careful how you speak to them. I knew because we're in the Alma de Shikra and you are in the throes of the Alma de Shikra. How do I see the Shikra? When a Navi tells you to kill everybody, you decide not to. Why? Because of what you see. Alma de Shikra. That's what you give into. You let the Yetzer Hara create an Alma de Shikra that you buy into. So if you buy into that, believe me, if I would have told you the truth, if I would have told you from the Olam Emes to the Alma de Shikra, you would have killed me. So you learn a lot from this. 2 points. And this is something that rabbis can attest to. Hopefully a rabbi who learns a lot of Torah even though he may have his own personal struggles with the Alma de Shikra and the Alma de Emes, but whatever he's telling you, most likely is from the Alma de Emes. So the Alma de Emes. Now he's talking to congregants who live in the Alma de Shikra. So if a rabbi will speak the Emes, so what's going to happen? So nowadays we don't kill rabbis, but we fire them. You know, a board of directors, but you know, a board of directors is for sure 99% of the time, if they're a board of directors, they're directing you. You have to remember the story. I'll just tell you the story. In Telz many moons ago. Telz Yeshiva, they had a board of sponsors. Yeah, we never got president, vice president, boards, a lot of Balbatim gave money, board of sponsors. So, but the yeshiva did all the policy, his own. So one day, I don't remember who, one of the board members spoke to a gifter and had a complaint. Said, things in yeshiva should be run a little differently. So a gifter, in his true style, said to him, "I don't believe you've read what it says on the top of the letterhead. You are called a board of sponsors, not a board of directors. You don't direct the future of the yeshiva. You sponsor. You're a board of sponsors. Your job is to raise the money. That's your job. And you tell us the best way for you to raise money. We'll listen to everything you say about how to raise money. Board of sponsors, yes. Board of directors, you're not. Right? Unfortunately, many shuls, it is a board of directors. The board of directors, 99.9% live in the Alma de Shikra. And you see it all the time. A person can be a regular Baal Bus, all of a sudden he's given the power of being board of directors, all of a sudden the Alma de Shikra takes over. And then whatever the rabbi says is no good. Therefore the rabbi, if he wants to keep his job, has to speak to people who are living in the Alma de Shikra, not that the rabbi will say lies. So if the rabbi wants to get up and say what the emes is, right? Then the board of directors say, Rabbi, if you keep speaking this way, we're going to fire you. Stop telling people not to be Machal Shabbos. Stop telling people to keep kosher, because there's people in the shul who don't keep kosher and Machal Shabbos. Please stop talking that way. And I know that the president has an affair with somebody. Don't talk about that. And we don't want. If you talk about that, we're going to fire you. So what does the rabbi say? He says, we're very charitable people. We wear nice ties. We're in touch with Israel. So he doesn't say any lies, but the truth, he doesn't tell you the whole truth. And that's the kind of rabbis that shuls get. He was afraid to open up his mouth. Afraid to open his mouth because the rabbi is speaking from Alma de Emes. He's speaking to the world Alma de Shikra, and that's what Shmuel Navi is teaching us. Not that he lies. Can't lie. The rabbi can't get up and say, it's okay to be Mochal Shabbos. That he can't say. Just doesn't talk about it. Just doesn't talk about it. Right? But so that's number one. That will explain why rabbis don't tell the whole truth, because they're mamish afraid that these guys will kill him. And killing is on many levels, just in one way, right? What does we say? You talk lashon hara. It's worse than killing somebody. For sure, board of directors are very yotze on those mitzvahs. Very yotze on that. Mamish, kill a rabbi. They kill him. They destroy his credibility. Can you imagine that? They fire a rabbi. How does he expect to get a job afterwards? Why did they fire you? They fired you because the board lived in the Alma de Shikra. That's why there's always contention in rabbis and boards. The board lives in the Alma de Shikra. The rabbi lives in the Alma de Emes. So a smart rabbi will not tell them the truth. But then there's a second part to that. Because Shul lived in Alma de Shikra and wasn't able to be makabel what Shmuel had to say. Now Shmuel, of course, judges everyone favorably. When he spoke to Shul the first time, and he was the king, he was hoping that Shul too was living in the Alma de Emes. That's what a king should be, living in the world of truth and willing to listen to the Navi. He lives in the world of truth. So in the beginning, Shmuel told him exactly as is. You will go to Amalek, you will destroy them totally. That was mamish Alma de Emes. He didn't mince his words. He didn't cover code. He said, you got to do it exactly the way I said. That was Alma de Emes, hoping he would hear it from the Alma de Emes. He didn't. Once Shmuel saw that was not there anymore, I can't talk to him this way anymore. But once that happens, you should know one thing. That person now who lives in Alma de Shikra, he loses his lifeline. And the Navi can't talk to him the Emes way anymore. And once the Navi doesn't talk to you the Emes way, then you can do all kinds of stupid things like Shaul and Melech did. And then at the end of the day, he blames the rabbi, the Navi. Why didn't you tell me he was going to David? You imagine what's going to happen after 120 years? There's going to be people, congregants from shuls coming up to the next world. They're going to say, why didn't you do this, why didn't you do this? And you think they're going to sit back and take it from Hashem? You say, well, the rabbi never talked about it. If the rabbi would have once talked about it, I would have done it. Then Hashem's going to show you the tape. He's going to say, he did. The first year he was the rabbi, he talked it, and boy did you straighten him out. You called him into your office, and you were mavaza him, and you said, you want to have a job here? You better toe the line. So he told you the line. There's no telling you, from what you see from Shul, and again, with all due respect to Shul, because he was still a tzaddik, but Shul was a tzaddik, could act so foolishly. Can you imagine regular Baba Batim, how foolishly they're going to act? Can you imagine how foolish they are? You know, that's why people in conventional boards, Baruch Hashem, our board now is very good. They know their board of sponsors. They understand it. They understand, right? But Moshe's board of directors, it's the kind of Lashon Hara that goes, people don't want to be on boards because they know it's all Lashon Hara. 99.9. There's maybe a couple good ones out there. And therefore, good people don't want to be on boards. It's a catch-22. So what happens? All the Baal Lashon Hara get onto the board. So it doesn't work because they live in the Alma de Shikra. So the rabbi has to know how to step around everything. Never really says anything to anybody, and then people get what they get. But later they'll come with complaints. If you only would have told me. Yeah. So I told everybody on Yom Kippur how I felt, and that's it. Now I'm not going to tell anybody anymore. That's it. Comes next Yom Kippur, I'm going to speak to the Alma de Shikra. I'm not going to say any lies. I'm just going to tell people what they want to hear. But I'll tell them, if you really want to hear the truth, you come to me privately. I'm happy to give everybody that Alma Demis. Happy to. Yeah, so far I haven't seen too many volunteers for that. So it's okay. It's okay. But that's mamish.
So is that better?
You know, you know what? You don't have a choice because it's a lot worse if boards will start killing rabbis. You know, I'm just saying.
In the case
you see from Shmuel, he's not criticized for the way he behaved. He understood this. You have no answer. Believe me, if Shul would have, you know, at the end of the day, you'll see in a minute, at the end of the day, Shul will end up in a good place. At the end of the day, through his death, which will be a kapara, he will end up in a good place.
Well, Shmuel told him that.
No, but that, why? Because, but had Shul killed, you can kill even all the Kohanim, you can still go to Olam Haba. There's one rule, man, you kill a Navi, you're done. You kill a Navi, forget it. that you're finished. Mamish finished. So Shmuel knows. You know, you think it's bad. You think it bothered Shmuel if he would get killed by Shaul? Personally, Shmuel's selfish interest. He has no selfish interest.
Right.
As far as Shmuel's concerned, I should tell him the truth. Tell him the truth. If he kills me, he kills me. You know, Hashem protects me. And if Hashem wants me to die, he wants me to die. We have the Nevi'im before the Beis Hamikdash. They killed Zechariah. They didn't want to hear what Zechariah had to say. They killed him. Once you do that, you're done. You're done. There's no hope. They killed Chur with the Cheta Egel, and why did Aaron play along with them and not criticize them severely? You know, if they kill me, then they're finished. Because Aaron wasn't just a kohen; he was a navi. You kill a navi, you're done for. Like, forget it. Don't even expect Olam Haba. Like, you're done for. So he figures, okay, what's best for Shaul? Shmuel always wondered, what's best for Shaul? What's best for Shaul is that if he kills me, he's done. Now, he's still going to lose the Melucha, but he has a lot of ways to lose it. He could have given it over nicely to David. He could have done Shuvah. There's a whole bunch of things he could have done. And he was mispalel for him, and this and that. And ultimately, as you'll see, Shaul was a good guy. He was a good guy, made mistakes, big mistakes, but a good guy. But you'll see he will get a kapara. He will get a kapara. And he does sit in a very beautiful place in Olam Haba. So Shmuel did act. You know, you can only act as good as the clientele will allow you to. It's such a musar. Mamash, you should take this piece this year, play it to every board. Every shul board should hear this. Okay, those who are listening on kosher too, go send it to your board members and tell them what they're doing to destroy the efficacy of their rabbis. Right? So that's clear. So it's a beautiful measure. It's unbelievable. Baruch Hashem was able to find it. Yeah.
I mean, didn't we say recently that if one speaks ill about a rabbi, they suffer also? I think it was just in the last couple of weeks we brought that out.
Sure. I mean,
unless you do tshuva, if you speak ill about a rabbi.
I spoke about that Shabbos morning.
Yeah.
That was more from.
But it's very similar kind of concept.
It's a similar concept, but here it's mamish coming out of a medrash. Otherwise, you give no explanation. How could it's always a rabbi has to know he's living with people who live in the alma de shikr, in the world of falseness. When a person lives in the world of falseness, you got to talk to them differently. The people now, hopefully, a rabbi will teach people how to learn to live in the world of truth.
If they're willing to
teach them a story like this. Teach them a story like this, and to see what Shul gave up, what Shul had to go through. The rabbi criticizes people. Why is Rabbi criticizing? Because he doesn't want them to suffer. He doesn't want Hashem to punish them. That's why I think the rabbi feels guilty. He says, I should tell them what I said at the end of the keynotes. Look, at the end of the keynotes, you could say what you want, because those are people who are at least a little closer to the Alma Dems. Yeah. It's the truth. It's the truth. If a woman doesn't go to the mikvah, a husband and wife are damned for kares for the rest of their lives. That's the emes. That's the emes. Go tell people the emes. I don't know if they're ready to hear the emes. Couldn't say that on Yom Kippur, right? Right? You can hear the emes. But people could hear the emes. The rabbi's job is to teach people to appreciate, to live in the world of emes. And if they could learn to live in the world of emes, then the rabbi could tell them the words from the world of emes. That's really his job. Really, the rabbi's job is to try to teach. That's what we try to do. That's why we try to bring in some chassidus, so you can learn the value of living in the world of emes. If once you live in the world of emes, then you can maybe hear some emes. But till you're there, you're not going to. Okay, let's continue. There's still lots of really beautiful things here. But then the Medrash picks up. That's still in Pasuk Yates. It looks like we're not finishing the parak. It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to. It's all Torah. It says, tomorrow you and your sons will be with me.
Yeah.
Okay. So Rashi has very famous words over here, all based on the Medrash. Let me read the Rashi. Atov v'nech, one word is added. Bim mechitzasi, in my mechitza, in my area. My area. And what does this really mean? So it brings out, Radak elaborates a little bit more. He says, Shetiu meisim kamo shani meis. You will be dead like me. What answers you? You'll be with me. You're going to be dead like me. The Gemara there says, no, imi b'mechitzasi, me in my mechitzah. So what does that mean? So the Radak brings now from the Gemara, it's Gemara and a Medrash. It says, B'schar shetered le'milchama amanas lamus, for the reward that you're going to battle knowing you're going to die. Lo tivrach, you're not going to run away. Yechuper l'chavan nov v'yarkanim, will be forgiven to you the sin of killing out the city of Nov. V'tiyah imi b'mechitzasi tzadikim, you'll be with me with all the other tzadikim. And there's two medrashim that seem to be conflicting, but they're not. We can resolve them. But Shul, the medrash, picks up a little bit what's missing in other Gemaras. The medrash says, so Shul says, so what would happen if I run away? Will I be able to escape? We'll lose the battle, right? So now he's trying to figure out, let me figure out what are all the angles here, what are the possibilities here. Maybe right now I'm in the forest, let me and my sons run away. The Jews will wake up tomorrow, they'll see there's no king, there's a face, whatever. Can I escape? She says, you will. If you try to escape, you will be able to escape. But if you accept upon yourself the judgment, then tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. Meaning with me sitting in Gan Eden. So now you have an option. You want to sit in Gan Eden? There's only one way you're going to sit in Gan Eden. You got to go and get your punishment. Just like a person who's a murderer, where people have to get a kapara. You need a kapara, man. That kapara is, you're going to have to kill yourself in battle. At the end of the day, we're going to see he's wounded to the point that he has to finish himself off before the police didn't kill him. But that's going to be a kapara. For what you did, you got to have a kapara. So you got a choice. You can run away, save your skin, and continue to live in the world of falseness. Or, at least now, the emes, now you need a kapara. No bezin's going to kill you. You have to enforce it yourself. Do you want that kapara or not? So Gemara says so that's one thing.
Doesn't he have an obligation to save himself if he can, though?
Not if already Hashem says you're a ben movet. No, yeah, he'll go to war, he'll fight. No. The police team are fighting. What's a king's obligation if the police team are fighting? You have to go to battle. What do you mean? How can a king not go to battle? How can a king not go to battle? You have to defend. First of all, Shul will go to battle. They'll probably kill a few thousand policemen before they get him. He will.
It's just married also.
But you've got to be the king. You got to lead the troops. What's the shiloh? You got to lead the troops. Just because there's a prophecy doesn't mean you don't do what you're supposed to do. You need a kapara. That's it. You go to battle. You do what happens. Just because you know the future doesn't mean you have to change. That's what he's saying. You need a kapara. That's one medrash. The Gemara Brachos seems to say something different, which we won't be able to resolve today. The Gemara says, someone does an avera, but he is embarrassed of his avera. Usually when you do an avera, you're not very embarrassed. You think you did a mitzvah. But then later, when you become embarrassed for your avera, it forgives your averas. And the proof is from this pasuk, of this topic. Why? Because when Shul mentioned that he spoke to the prophets, they didn't answer him. He spoke to the dreamers, they didn't answer. But he didn't mention he spoke to the Urim V'Tumim. Why? Because they're too ashamed to talk about it. Because he killed out the priests. And he showed real remorse and shame to not speak about it. So from that you see someone who is ashamed of what they did. They're embarrassed of what they did. Hashem is Michael that Avera. So the Meforshim say, how do you know this? Let me just wait on that. So how does the mechanics work? So Rabbi Chaim Shmulevitz explains in his Sichos Musar, he says that you can be forgiven for this Avera, even though there's some have a version, there's different versions of the Gemara. Some have a version Mochem al Kol Avoinasaf, all its Averas. The Meiri over there says not all, for the Avera that you are ashamed about. He says why? Because why does Hashem want to punish a person? Why does Hashem have to punish a person? Only to give you rebuke, to say you're doing the wrong thing. Fine. That's why initially Hashem punishes you, to wake you up. But if you are ashamed from what you've done, then you woke yourself up already. You don't need to get the punishment anymore.
You murdered 80-something Kohanim?
If you would do real tshuva, if he would have done real tshuva, he still could have done tshuva. He didn't do tshuva. He didn't do tshuva in normal way. So now Hashem says there's only one tshuva left. Now you've got to the point, your only tshuva is, you got to go to battle and die. But that's at the end. But first, we'll see. See, there seems to be conflicting medrashim here. It isn't, but it seems to be conflicting. One medrash says, the only way you can get out of this is by dying. This medrash is saying, I was embarrassed, so I got kapara. It seems in this medrash he doesn't have to die. This medrash doesn't talk about him going to die. The Gemara just says he was ashamed. And therefore, what Shmuel says, you'll be with me in Olam Haba tomorrow. Why? Because he was ashamed. He was ashamed. So it seems to be a conflict. Now another interesting shot is embarrassment. We know, you're supposed to die, but when a person's embarrassed, what do you say? If you talk lashon hara about someone, it's like killing him, right? Because the blood changes, your face changes from red to white. Remember, you're shamed, your red is a beet, then it flushes out. That's like you killed him. You shed his blood, right? So certainly, if a guy deserves to die for an avera, let's say, but now he's so ashamed of what he did, it's like he killed himself. If you feel that shame, that tremendous shame, let's say it's at another level. Okay, I know you were upset when people kill people. Oh, guys, Machal Shabbos. Guys, Machal Shabbos should also die. But if he doesn't die for that, then you're okay with it because it didn't hurt anybody else. So, guys, Machal Shabbos is terrible things, right? And so he should die. He should die. So we'll say he's not going to die. But he's mamish ashamed for what he did. It's like he killed himself. There was once a quick story with a Rebbe, fast story, with a Rebbe that the terrible sinner. I forget exactly the whole story. So he says, how do I get kapara? So how to get kapara? I think it was like Yom Kippur. He says, you go right up to the center bima in front of hundreds of people, and you tell them every terrible thing you've done in your life. You'll get kapara. So the guy, he's thinking, and he's getting into it. He says, I'm going to go. And he's starting to shake, he's starting to tremble. He's sweating like bullets. He's like, what's going to happen to me? But after that, and his mamish, he's crying, his mamish shaking. He comes mamish up to the center, he's straight open his mouth. Then a hand from behind the Rebbe says, it's enough, you've already accomplished it. Same idea.